everybody, I switched the style up a little bit. Hope you don't mind. This is the Alex Manassa, and we're going to talk about something that is really cool. Alright, we're going to talk about how guns work. And it's going to be really simplified, alright? Because I'm trying to make these compact and snappy so you can learn quickly and then get on with your business. We only, if I could time this thing right, it would be about the amount of time it would take to eat like a bag of chips, like a little tiny fun-sized bag of chips. Not a lot of time, so let's get into it. Alright, so the way that you calculate work of an expanding gas, and I know a lot about that, is you start out with your pressure times volume. Now, if I've got I think the University of Illinois, I've got their website here open. All right, so P is on the y-axis, V. All right, so you start out with your initial position. Let's say it's very low volume, high pressure, okay, which is what a gun is. The bullet starts out with not a lot of volume behind it, but a lot of pressure from the bullet. And when the bullet leaves the barrel, it's going to have whatever the back pressure of the gun is times the volume of the barrel, okay? So let's say this is our P naught, V naught, okay? And then down here is P final, V final, okay? I'm getting a little bit better with this screen. All right. Now what's going to happen is this is going to open up, and you could use whatever curve you want to use. Let's just make up one right here. Boom, like that, okay? This area here underneath that curve is the amount of work that got done, okay? So if you were to calculate that area. All right. Let's give the diagram of the gun barrel. So here is the cartridge, which I'm going to put in red. So here's the cartridge, and it's a cross-section of the cartridge, so it's going to be a little side view there. Put the bullet in blue, because blue and bullet rhyme, and I like that. There we go. There's bullet. All right, let's label some stuff. Okay, so in here is V naught, and also P naught. So I put P first. Let's be consistent. Okay. That's the pressure inside of the cartridge when the powder blows. Let's assume that the powder is going to all ignite, combust, give its energy, its stored chemical energy, and turn it into a big expanding bunch of gas. You know, it's basically just outgassing, or not outgassing, but it's turning solid into gas as fast as it can, and it does so and releases a lot of extra energy as well in the form of heat. And of course the gas particles will also hit stuff and create friction, which also creates heat. But I don't know what the component of that is. Here's the bullet right as it leaves. I'm drawing a little stouter. Just pretend it got a little stouter on its way out. And there's little gas lines coming out the side. You could be tempted to say, hey, Alex, the pressure when the bullet leaves, is going to be atmospheric pressure. And you would be wrong, because the amount of energy that gets transferred to the bullet is not equal to all that energy. A lot of the energy gets released out to the atmosphere in the form of the loud bang, that big pressure differential. That is not going into the bullet. That is going into the boom of the air, okay? And don't get me, I don't know what the muzzle flash does. I don't think that's enough energy to really, I think that's just leftover combustive material, because the assumption that all of the combustive material, the gunpowder, gets ignited all at once is absolutely not true, okay? But we got to make approximations. It'll take you all day to calculate, you know, a ball flying through the air with air resistance. It turns it into like a second order differential equation, and you're just gonna wish you had a nice warm place to curl up and cry. All right. So in here we've got V final. I messed them up. I want to say V or P, but like it alternates. I could go either way with the P and the V. Okay. So obviously the V here is let's say this is L final. Okay, so that therefore, blip blah bloop, V final equals L pi, and the barrel has, let's just call it 2R. That's just the diameter of the barrel. Okay, there we go. Now we have an equation. If it's a .30 caliber barrel, it's going to be 0.3 inches or 7.62 millimeters. Give or take, right? If you want to be pedantic and include the riflings in the cross-sectional area analysis. I mean, if you really want to be a butthole about it. I mean, I'm not going to stop you from being a butthole. You just butthole on, brother or sister. They're butthole sisters. All right, and obviously in V naught is just whatever the length inside the cartridge is. So L naught. Okay, so similarly, I forgot to put the little final there. L naught pi r squared. Okay. That's going to be dependent on the cartridge you're using. If you want to just use a quick approximation, just use the length of the cartridge. The amount of error that you're going to get from this is mostly going to be because of heat loss. So you think that this thing is, is going to follow the ideal gas law, right? And I guess I'll get to that in a second. Let me say that to find the P's, right? Okay, so P naught is a given. P naught is given, right? You have to like measure that. You have to measure P naught, okay? And you can actually back calculate that if you know what the muzzle velocity, the energy imparted on the bullet is. You can do some back calculations, but P final, P final, P final. You got to use the ideal gas law to find this one, right? So that is use ideal gas law. All right, that is PV equals nRT. That's temperature. All right, which basically means that P times V is a constant if temperature, the molar mass, and the constant R are constant. So that's an easy one. That means the volume is going to drop proportionally to the pressure. Or vice versa. The pressure is going to drop proportionally to the volume. But let's just roll through it anyway and see what we get. All right, so we get P naught V naught equals, let's just say assume T final equals T naught, which it's not going to. It's not going to, okay? So that's a fudge factor. Physics is nothing but fudge factors. If you think F equals ma, then you are mistaken. You are wrong, technically. Actually, it equals the change in momentum. But usually mass isn't being lost by the ball in the air. Of course, that doesn't really work for rockets because they are losing mass while they're in the air. That's how they fly. They shoot mass at their butts. Butt mass. All right, so that means P final equals... I am so bad at visualizations. P naught V naught over V final. There we go. So now you can find what P final is. Or in other words, you can put P final in terms of P naught. Okay, so now you have a way to equate those two. And these guys are dependent on the gun. V final and V naught, those are just based on the gun and based on the cartridge. So not a lot of thought goes into that. That's just measurements. That's just plugging and chugging. But now you can replace any P final with V naught. So if I wanted to, I could take this guy right here and say P final times... whoops. See, I keep getting my P's and my V's. They rhyme too, so it's messing me up. I got major problems here. P naught, V naught, V final. Okay. So I'm just replacing the P final in there, and it's going to still be VF. All right, so now we've gotten rid of one variable in there. That's great. As I said, the V naught and the V final, those are just calculations, really straight geometry, not a big problem. And then P naught, that's kind of the problem, is you're going to have to calculate that. But as I said before, take the muzzle velocity of the bullet, which is going to give you the energy, the kinetic energy, and then back calculate this. Now, the big problem here is big Mr. T. This assumption right here, which I need my red pen for, you're totally losing heat. When you feel your gun when you're shooting, you feel it's warm, right? That's because it's transferring heat out. Now, if you're like in space or something, all right, maybe that'll do better. You're still going to radiate heat via photons and the black body radiation and all that. But for an approximation, this works okay. And if you're going to try different cartridges out, and you're keeping the conditions the same, you can kind of get away with this and just use this for a comparative analysis. That's how I would justify my job a little bit if I was working in some sort of munitions lab. Really, I would justify my job by looking up Army papers, because there are a lot of Army field manuals on how to do calculations like this that seem to me more like black magic. Muzzle, like... I used one for my patent on a rifle-launched drone, and the calculations from the Army to get recoil was basically a modification of kinetic energy with some other stuff tossed in, and it didn't make any physical sense to me. But it's what the Army uses. There's also field manuals for all the different rounds you can get, and they will tell you what the energy of the bullet is and what the size, all the dimensions of the cartridges and everything. I think it's called Small Arms Ammunition Spec Sheet or something. I forget. Doesn't matter. I'll put it in the comment, or I'll put it in the description down below, so you guys can marvel and enjoy all of the gun-laden goodness. This has been the Alex Manaz. I hope you've had fun. I hope you learned something. I hope you liked watching me struggle with math for a minute, because I get 20 IQ points lower as soon as they put a camera on me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hit the like button if you liked it. Hit subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. And leave a comment if you want to leave a comment. I don't know, it's a free country. I leave my comments open just, in case YouTube wants to just lather that hatred all over me. I'm here for it. I was around for the Twitter wars, the meme wars. I was around for bash.org, whatever. I've been on the internet since I was a child. I'm ready for this. All right, I'll see you guys later. Whap!